Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Fixit Finance. Today we are going to be discussing student loans and understanding them. So in talking to and dealing with a couple of people, there seems to be some, I guess, hazy understanding about student loans. So that's why I'm doing this video. I'm hoping it sheds some light to help you understand some things. If you have any questions, as usual, please leave a comment below or send me an email and I'll be more than happy to answer the question. Okay, so we're just going to go right into it. So the first thing when it comes to student loans, and I think this is very important to say, although it should be an obvious, but I think a lot of people forget the fact that in taking student loans, you are going to have to pay it back. Now, it's not fun, but at least it's just a reality that I think a couple of people need to come to terms with. So if you do have student loans, or you've taken out student loans, or you plan on taking out student loans, please understand the fact that this is money you are going to have to pay back. If you do not pay it back, there are consequences. Okay, now that's not to scare you or anything. It is doable. I've done it. I know plenty of people who've done it, and it is very, very possible to pay off your student loans. So I'm just going to get rid of some, I guess, questions and areas of confusion, if any. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. So the first thing, in Canada, there are usually two types of student loans. So the first one is the one you get from the government. The second one is the one you get from like a private institution, say a bank, or a personal lending institution or something like that. So now public student loans or government student loans are usually interest free. So the discussion I'm going to be talking about is based off of public, as in government student loans. So the one you get from your province, Alberta, Ontario, in addition to the ones you get from the federal government, just so we're clear. Private student loans have similar characteristics. They just differ just a little bit, and I'll touch on that later on in the video. Okay, so if you have a student loan, you need to understand that while you are in school, while you're studying, there's no interest on it. It's interest free while you are studying. So say you sign up for a 4-year degree from year 1 to 4 while you're in school, you don't actually pay any interest on the loans. Now when you graduate, you have a 6-month grace period whereby in the time from transitioning from a student to becoming to working full-time, the hope is that you would get a job within 6 months. If you don't, the government has something called repayment assistance. So for example, say you graduate this month, 6 months from now you still haven't found a steady job. Don't be worried, don't be alarmed. Just call the government and let them know, okay, this is what's happening. You still don't have a steady job. They have programs for repayment assistance whereby they would actually they would extend your grace period, for example, if you qualify, of course. So you would go from so the first 6 months as soon as you graduate is a grace-free period. But one thing you need to know is during the grace period, it is possible, no, not possible, chances are interest is going to start accruing on your loan. Meaning, yes, it's a grace period, you don't necessarily have to pay anything, or you're paid a very small amount, but there is interest that is building up on that loan. So if you have a loan of say $50,000 and your interest rate is the current prime rate, which is 3.95%, you actually are going to be gathering interest of 3.95% on those loans. This is why I'm stressing the fact that you don't want to ignore it, you don't want to push it aside, you don't want to just think it's going to be there till you die. Please take care of it and pay the necessary attention now so that you can get it off your back. The other thing is, you don't want to ignore the calls, the letters and whatnot from the student loan service center, or from anywhere that the mail is coming from for your student loans. Why? Because it's going to affect your credit, and it's going to affect your credit badly. Take it from me, I ignored mine for a few months and I paid for it nicely on my credit score. Okay, so please, when you do get the information, do your best, give them a call. Just don't ignore them, talk to them and say, hey, this is what's happening. For real, I don't have a job, or I do have a job but I make minimum wage and I barely can house myself. They would understand and they would work with you, but you should put it in the back of your mind that, okay, this is something you have to deal with. You can't just ignore it. The other thing to know about student loans is the interest that you do pay on student loans actually comes back to you in the form of a refundable tax credit, a non-refundable tax credit, meaning it'll help reduce the amount of taxes you have to pay at the end of the year. So it's very important that you pay attention to this, and when you're filing your tax return with your accountant or with whoever does your taxes, make sure to give them, that statement or letter from the government that shows how much interest you paid in the year. So you can at least get a little bit of a tax break for paying your student loans. The other thing you should know is, and again, it's on a case by case basis, if you are diligent in paying back your student loans, there are options and grants and whatnot available post your studies, in the sense of, so for example, myself, after I was done school and I was paying off my student loans, I got a grant of like $4,000 that helped pay off my student loan, like part of it, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, there's stuff that's available even after you're done school that you may not be aware of, but is only available to like people who are actually paying attention and doing the necessary steps to take care of the student loan. Okay, so don't be discouraged by your student loan. Don't be scared. Don't be ashamed of it in any way, shape, or form. The trick is you just don't want to ignore it. I think that's the biggest issue that I find when I'm talking to people, is they just kind of, just push it to the side and they're just like, I'll deal with it one day. Just take the time to, deal with it and get it out of your life now. Okay? So some of the reasons why you would want to pay it back, I kind of touched on it a little bit. The biggest thing is you want to get the government off your back. You want to get the lender, if it's a private institution, say for example a bank that gave you a line of credit, you just want to get that out of your life. If you calculate how much you're paying in interest each year, and just the inconvenience of having somebody take $500, $800, $300 from your bank account every month, it's quite a nuisance. That would be gone the moment you pay attention and you get rid of it. You want to stop throwing money away in the form of interest, for example. You want to make sure that you're not dashing the government and anybody else money. Next thing is you want to free up your cash flow, like I already touched on. Like that $800, that money that's going out every single month, you could potentially be using it to invest, save up for a house. So many things you could do with it once the student loan is gone. And last but not least, being debt free is absolutely awesome. If you want to experience it, I'll be more than happy to help you. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I think you should deal with. Don't ignore it. Just don't do it. So that's basically the thoughts on student loan. The next video, you're gonna see me walk through an example of a student loan and just kind of discuss why. I know I've gotten a couple of people that have complained that, they pay this amount on their student loans each month, but they don't see any impact and they're wondering why. So I just kind of walk through an example just to break it down, how the interest portion and the principal portion of your student loans work. And it's basically the same thing with most loans. So if you watch that video, you definitely get a better understanding. Thank you for watching, and please join us again next time on Fixit Finance.